January 6th was a stain on this country forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. What's really sad is how many people say, this is not what I voted for. The person that you voted for sat on his fat ass for 3 hours and watched officers stabbed, beaten, sprayed, pepper spray, beaten with American flags, climbing the walls of Congress, breaking windows, pretending to call Nancy Pelosi and take a crap on her desk, trying to break into the halls of Congress, gallows outside, say, we will hang Mike Pence. The vice president of the United States had to be rushed out the back of Congress for his safety. And you went to the voting booth and said, that's my guy. So spare me with your bullshit. That's not what you voted for. It's disgusting. Officer Sicknick died the following day. 4 officers died from the PTSD that was caused. They had a hard time getting over it. Many of them had served in this country honorably in the military, unlike that little bitch in the White House, Bone Spurs. And they said, for the first time, I was scared. I never thought that my life would be in jeopardy on my own country's soil. One of the officers had 3 children. 3. And every Christmas since, every holiday, every anniversary, bar mitzvahs, dance recitals, whatever it is, their mom or dad aren't there. But you didn't give a shit because it wasn't your dad or your mom that lost their life. So, hey, nothing to see here. You went to the voting booth knowing that he lied and lied and lied and lied about the election being stolen. You went to the voting booth and knew that he was found liable for raping Jean Carroll. You knew that he was a convicted felon. You listened to him call women fat and ugly and piggy. You knew that he didn't rent to black people. You saw the cruelty. You heard the Hollywood access tapes. Grab him like a bitch. Grab him by the pussy. Those are his words. If you don't like it, then don't vote for that. But you did. I'm not going to PG the words of the guy that you voted for. You knew that he had dinner with Nick Fuentes, an anti-Semitic white supremacist. And you saw all of this and you didn't care. And I've got family members that voted for this. Of course they're white. Of course they have 48 American flags because they're real patriots. Yeah. Why? Because the rapist, pedophile, convicted felon who molests little girls blamed the brown people for Mexico. They were raping fetuses in the womb, and they're raping women and children, and they're destroying cities across this country. And they're the people out in the fields building houses, making $10 an hour, are taking all of our housing and our way of life because they're racists. Let's just be real, because that's what this is about. Part of this country would rather burn democracy to the ground than vote for a black woman. We have to come to grips with that. The entire world saw it in horror, what happened. But the sad reality is that we just keep refusing to acknowledge is that this country, in part, were triggered by a black man in the White House instead of out in the fields picking their cotton, so they went back to what they know, the white male patriarchy, and they put a plantation owner back in the White House. And LBJ, he's told us, and I'll paraphrase, this country will vote for the most morally bankrupt, incompetent, racist, pedophile, convicted felon president who's literally stealing your wallet over the most qualified black woman. That's why they overlooked January 6th. And if Barack Obama was a white man, we probably would have never gotten Donald Trump. But this country's fear of a white minority was just a bridge too far. So they overlooked all of the immorality. And the really sad part, as a person of faith myself, is that many of these people will sit in church on Sunday with F Joe Biden bumper stickers and Joe in the Ho flags. They'll say, I'll vote for a communist before I'll vote for a Democrat. Well, and they talk about peace and grace and compassion and love and mercy and loving thy neighbor as thyself. And yet you didn't care about the neighbors named Officer Sicknick or the 4 other officers that died. You didn't care about your neighbor, E. Jean Carroll, that he raped, or 13-year-old Katie Johnson that he molested, or the black people that he put money in the newspaper to execute from the Central Park 5 who were later exonerated. You don't care about the 41,000 people that died from gun violence. You don't care about the 14 million kids that go to school hungry every day, or the 42 million that need food assistance just to eat, or the 800,000 that are homeless. You sure don't care about any of those lives. You only care about me, 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 me. You're not Christians, you're modern day Pharisees. And the sad reality is that Satan is more Christ-like than some of these people are. It's really sad. But this country has got to come at some point to grips with white supremacy, and we have to stop acting like it was the price of eggs. The farmers are losing their farms, and they would still vote for him. Losing their sawmills, they would still vote for him. Losing their homes, losing their jobs, they would still vote for him. Because it was never about the price of eggs. It was about he was white and she was a black woman, and that's it. It's a damn shame that this country still refuses to acknowledge the original sin of this country. And it's a damn shame that too many white people that look like me are still sitting in their privilege, because you think that once the darkness is gone, that somehow you're going to stand standing while all of your neighbors are getting shitted on because they're not white. Have a good day.